Canberra. Wilson Tuckey, good morning and thanks for joining us on ABC News Breakfast.
It's a pleasure.
So it seems that your leader, Malcolm Turnbull, has ruled out holding that meeting, so you won't be able to call a spill of positions. Is that your understanding?
Well, I don't know what the understanding is in regards to the meeting, but I know now that Malcolm Turnbull has dodged the spill he said we should call. He called on a spill and I said straight away I give notice that we should have one next Thursday. Now, that is the normal procedure. You give notice so that the leader can prepare their defence and other applicants can put their names forward and contact colleagues. Colleagues can debate about it. You don't move these things in the heat of the moment, as was suggested. But in my recollections over a long period in this Parliament, I've seen leaders call a spill themselves on the rumour that someone was preparing to challenge. We now have a proposal put forward, and he says 2 members. The whip said he wanted a mover and seconder, and we signed. The numbers could have been much more substantial than that had I been advised accordingly. The fact of life is that a call has been made. It's not something that has been done for years, and Malcolm Turnbull, as is his wont on these matters, has said, well, I'm not going. Now, that can only result in further disruption to the party. It would have been better to hold the meeting, and Malcolm would have probably won. But it would have set in process a set of circumstances in which I think he would eventually be defeated. Well,
is there a candidate?
No, I'm not a candidate, but there are others whom have indicated they would be.
But that's what I mean. I mean, you believe, you say that the natural manner of things is, for the candidate to go away and prepare. Is there a candidate who's prepared to go away and prepare?
Well, I understand that Kevin Andrews has indicated publicly that he would be a candidate. I have not canvassed others. Kevin advised me more in sorrow than anger that the way the trend was going in the party room on Malcolm's rules, that he would judge at the end of the debate who was for and who was against. Those of us who carefully recorded the numbers had a consistent outcome that more people spoke against it than spoke for it, and on Malcolm's rules he should have responded accordingly. But furthermore, had he been John Howard, halfway through the debate he would have read the mood of the party room and said, well, oops, hello fellas, we better stop this. This is highly disruptive, this is not going as it should. We better start having meetings and try and find some middle ground. Middle ground was proposed to Malcolm Turnbull by a senior shadow cabinet minister, which was to just delay things, don't make a decision, don't go and sell out to Kevin Rudd, don't support a process that adds $1,100 to every family's cost of living. Don't support a process that says we will collect $115 billion worth of tax for a possible 5% reduction in emissions. I mean, this is constantly referred to as some sort of environmental issue, but of course the Greens are voting against it simply because they know that this has no environmental benefit whatsoever.
Well, look, Wilson Tuckey, just before we get to absolutely clarifying your understanding of what took place in the party room yesterday, let me just go back and try and clarify quickly a couple of other things. You're saying that when Malcolm Turnbull yesterday, and he said on a number of occasions, he said, look, if you don't like what I'm doing, you know, here's your chance, you can actually take me on. You're saying that in a sense you've accepted, you've taken up his offer, and your suggestion of there being a discussion of this in a meeting on Thursday is taking up his offer to take him on, and you're saying that he's actually now reneging on that.
Exactly. I mean, in my speech, my presentation, I alluded to that possibility. Immediately after he challenged the party room to agree with him or sack him, I got up and said, I give notice of motion that I will move such a motion on Thursday in this party room at 10 o'clock.
And what did he say?
Now, that's the proper way to do it. Oh, well, he just sneers it off. I heard him last night. I don't take any notice of Wilson Tuckey. In fact, he refused to take notice of over 50% of the party room members who chose to contribute to that debate yesterday.
Yeah.
And they were all people who had a genuine view and genuine criticism of what is wrong with an emissions trading scheme, both environmentally and economically, whilst his supporters seem to run on the line, well, either we've got to support Malcolm or let's get this off the agenda so my seat might be safer, my job's okay. Now, that's not the sort of debate that any competent leader would read on those circumstances. Not one of those who spoke in favour of supporting the recommendation of the executive gave reasons why the emissions trading scheme was good for Australia or good for the environment.
But Wilson Tuckey, you also went on to say that even if that spill of positions was held on Thursday, you just before went on to say he'd probably survive it. So given that you admit that, I wonder what it is or what it was you were trying to achieve by bringing on a move against Malcolm Turnbull that you admit yourself wouldn't have worked.
No. The reality is that I believe in the circumstances the leadership has come into play because the leader has virtually told the party room they don't count, they don't matter. He, as he said repeatedly last night, I'm the leader, I'm the leader, I'm the leader. And of course he's been sold that message by Kevin Rudd and Wayne Swan constantly attacking him in the Parliament, saying, show some leadership, Malcolm, show some leadership, when in fact, of course, they are bound by the votes in their party room and the votes as dictated by factional leaders. They do not have the privilege, Rudd or Swan, of imposing their view on their party room without a vote. I spoke to two Labor people in the corridor yesterday that were literally astounded that we could conduct our affairs in this matter. I have campaigned for a secret ballot for weeks, and had that been applied instead of Malcolm's choice, then he may or may not have had a clear-cut verdict written in black and white. But
right.
no.
Well, look, sorry, our time is short, and I do want to try and get to a couple of points if I can. Wilson Tuckey, do you believe then, from your understanding of what you heard and saw in the party room yesterday, there are enough Liberal senators now who will support this amended legislation?
No, the fact of the life is, well, I mean, as I think Barnaby Joyce has said, if 5 or 6 Liberal senators, and a couple of them might be from Queensland, where, since I've been attacking the emissions trading scheme, I get the bulk of my emails of support, Queensland, where there seems to be a much more substantial opposition to an emissions trading scheme. There's 2 of them that I would predict might vote with Kevin Rudd. If Kevin Rudd can get a gag in the Senate, if he can gag the Senate, for which they would also have to vote, and that would carry the legislation. About 6 votes, remembering the Greens will vote against it. And that is a reality that the Australian people are now facing if those particular senators think their loyalty to Malcolm Turnbull is greater than their loyalty to the people who put them in Parliament. Now, I don't know how they'll do that. I thought, and I argued, that once a request for a spill is made, that the leadership goes into a caretaker mode, just as does a Prime Minister during an election campaign, and he should not go and concede to Kevin Rudd on behalf of the party. He would have more authority after the vote on his leadership was taken. The history of these circumstances is that frequently the leader on challenge wins, and then another challenge occurs within a couple of months and they lose.
That's right, and then you have instability for quite some time, which seems to be the lot right now. We'll have to leave.
Well, if we've got a leader that's dragging us down in the polls for many other reasons than his support for the ETS,
all right. But
other members are going to have
Tuckey,
to make their mind up about that.
We will have to leave it there. But I do thank you for joining us this morning. Thanks so much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.